Chase Elliott may be looking for a new drink sponsor, and we may now have an explanation as to why the NASCAR float was excluded from the nationally televised Rose Parade. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. This is a new room. I'm working on putting together a new set in this corner of the room that hopefully you guys will see in the next video or two. But for now, you can kind of see the work in progress. Audio is probably echoing a little. Haven't soundproofed this room at all, so I apologize. But we do have some NASCAR and racing stories to get to in today's episode. Before we get started, though, I want to take a brief moment to send my best wishes and prayers to the family of Ken Block. The rally car racing legend tragically passed away just a couple days ago in a snowmobile accident. Many of you have probably already seen the outpouring of support he's gotten on social media. He was a real life action hero. I personally did not grow up watching him race or compete too much. I didn't really watch that style of racing a whole lot, but I know who he is. And even I recognize that Monster Energy rap anywhere. Ken Block made that look iconic, and I think to an entire generation of people, he made it cool to drive cars in the modern era. Many NASCAR drivers and other personalities have tweeted their support. Brad Keselowski, rest in peace, such a legend, saw him drive one time in Vegas and he had every driver's respect. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Ken Block, such a legend, showed the world how to make awesome content and just a wheelman, rest in peace. That's another part of this whole story is Ken Block has been a force on social media, on YouTube, for several years now at least. A larger-than-life figure in the racing world, so I just wanted to begin this episode by acknowledging that. Pretty cool to see, though, the outpouring of support, again, from kind of all corners of the motorsports world. I've seen Formula One, IndyCar, NASCAR, motocross, music. I've seen support from just about everywhere. So rest in peace to Ken Block, a legend in the racing world. Next, I want to follow up on something I talked about in my episode 2 days ago. A couple days ago, the Rose Parade in Pasadena, California, the Los Angeles area. Huge tradition, and this year, NASCAR was going to be a major part of it. They designed a 75th anniversary float to not only commemorate the history of NASCAR, stock car racing, but to also promote specifically the upcoming Clash at the Coliseum, which as of today is 1 month and 1 day away. Coming up quick, my goodness. NASCAR shared many photos and video clips of the float on social media, and we've already talked about it. It looks fantastic. Richard Petty was on top of the float waving at fans, also Raja Caruth, truly showcasing the legendary past and the rising hopeful future of the sport. Everything looks great. Everything seemed perfect. A great chance for NASCAR to make a splash in an important cultural Southern California event until they were snubbed from the national TV broadcasts. I and many other fans were actually watching the Rose Parade Monday afternoon from home. Both NBC and ABC had their own broadcasts of it. I was mostly watching the ABC version, but I'd flip back and forth here and there. And at least on the ABC broadcast, you did see the NASCAR float or catch some glimpses of it here and there when they showed I think they called it the float barn, like the big hangar where they work on the floats and they're all parked next to each other. You could see, oh, hey, there's the NASCAR float. You know, it got some shots. It was on TV, but it never got a special featured moment where the hosts were reading about how great NASCAR is, where Richard Petty's name appeared on the screen. That never happened on ABC or NBC. The reason for this, reportedly, is because earlier in the parade, a float ahead of the NASCAR float actually broke down and caused delays, which meant the parade went over the 2-hour allocated broadcast window, and so NBC and ABC had to cut away before they could show it. I saw Daniel Trotta tweeted this. Apparently, leaving NASCAR float off the broadcast in the Rose Parade was not intentional. Hearing a float in front of them broke down and threw off timing. By the time it was up and running again, broadcast window had run out. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. These national TV broadcast windows are tight. They're tight for a reason. They've got other things to get to. They have millions of viewers waiting for whatever's coming up next. They cannot easily run over time. So I get it, but it's still disappointing. And I think there are at least thousands, maybe tens of thousands of NASCAR fans who are eagerly anticipating the NASCAR float who never got that payoff. So It sucks to get Mike Wazowski'd on just like the second day of the year. Just NASCAR's luck. You know, it's not all doom and gloom though. I want to end with this. Apparently, a local news station, KTLA, in Los Angeles, did show the NASCAR float, and that's huge because ultimately, like I said, this float is meant to sell tickets to LA fans to go to the LA Clash. So as long as a lot of fans in Los Angeles were able to see it, that's what's most important. It's frustrating that the national audience didn't get the featured segment they were hoping for, but at least Southern California had NASCAR thrown in front of their face. That's a good thing. So it's not all doom and gloom, but definitely a little disappointing, especially when you consider NBC was one of the major networks broadcasting the Rose Parade. They're a major NASCAR partner. They broadcast the whole second half of the year and pay a pretty penny to do that. You'd think they would want to go out of their way to make sure NASCAR got some screen time, but they didn't. Anyway, just something I wanted to follow up on from my video a couple days ago. What are you gonna do? One final story I'd like to discuss. It's a new year, which means a new season is on the horizons, and with that comes many changes to the schedule, changes to the driver lineup, drivers switching to new teams, new manufacturers, but it also means potential changes in sponsorship, and that's what we found out here today. Adam Stern from Sports Business Journal tweeted that NASCAR's most popular driver, Chase Elliott, has lost his beverage sponsor. Here's what he reported. A-Shock Energy Drink and Team Hendrick have parted ways after their 2-year NASCAR sponsorship deal expired following 2022. A-Shock first sponsored Chase Elliott in 2021, and his beverage sponsor before that was Pepsi's Mountain Dew. So it doesn't sound like this is A-Shock Energy quitting mid-contract or not upholding their end of the bargain. Their 2-year deal just ran out and they chose not to renew. In the grand scheme of things, this isn't huge news. You know, M&M's leaving Joe Gibbs Racing and Kyle Busch was huge because they sponsored like 25 or 30 of his races every year, giving the team $20 million. I don't know how much A-Shock Energy was paying Hendrick, but given they only had, I believe, 2 primary schemes all of last season on Chase Elliott's car, probably much less than what M&M's was paying Gibbs. Still a big deal, and anytime NASCAR's most popular driver loses a sponsor, it's concerning, it's troubling. The A-Shock cars, especially last year, looked really, really cool, so I'm, just from an aesthetic perspective, going to be sad to not see the red and yellowish orange colors on track next season. We've seen Napa step up their support more and more the last couple of seasons, but A-Shock, it always seemed to be more of a personal deal with Chase Elliott than a larger deal with Hendrick. Like, at the SRX race that Elliott ran in 2021 at Nashville Fairgrounds, I remember he was wearing an A-Shock Energy hat, not a Napa Auto Parts hat, not a Kelly Blue Book hat, not a Chevy hat, an A-Shock hat. And then when Chase Elliott would go try some dirt racing here and there, it was often behind the wheel of an A-Shock sponsored car. So this may affect Chase Elliott more than it affects Hendrick Motorsports. I'm not sure. It's a sponsor leaving, never a good thing. I guess the only silver lining is it's not Napa Auto Parts or someone who sponsors 20 or 30 races a season. Of course, many Chase Elliott fans are now wondering who could come in to replace them. It feels like Chase Elliott's always had some sort of beverage sponsor, like Adam Stern mentioned. Before A-Shock came on board, it was Mountain Dew, which is owned by Pepsi. Could Pepsi return to NASCAR? They really have no presence in the sport right now other than I think some tracks like Dover, I believe, have a deal with Pepsi, so you can really only get Pepsi products there, like at the concession stands and stuff. I may be wrong. I think Dover and maybe 1 or 2 other tracks are like that. I'm not sure 100%. But Pepsi doesn't have any direct relationship with any of the teams or with NASCAR, the sanctioning body. Could that change? Pepsi, Coke, we have Dr. Pepper over there with Bubba Wallace in 2311. It'd be great to have all the major soda brands represented, the soda wars. I would be a fan of that. A-Shock Energy, I just never really saw them at the store. I'd see them here and there, but they'd kind of come and go. I don't know. There seems like there's a million energy drinks out there. There's a new one popping up every week with a cool new logo, a nicely designed can, and I don't know. I just don't see how all of them can survive. So we'll see what happens. Just wanted to share that news. Like I said, though, this is an odd time, new season around the corner. We start to realize that other sponsors may be leaving. I saw this actually from a user on Reddit. Kohler Generators no longer listed on RFK's website among their list of corporate partners. If Kohler Generators left Roush, that's a big loss for that team. I don't know the exact number of races, but they were the main sponsor for Brad Keselowski all of last season. Losing Kohler Generators, that's That's a much more difficult gap to fill than, the A-Shock Energy one, I believe. And it sucks for a team like RFK that towards the end of last year, with Chris Buescher winning the Bristol night race, they seem to be trending in a very positive direction. I hope this isn't a roadblock. I hope this isn't a hiccup. I'm confident in that team. They have brought in some new sponsors in recent months, like Violet Defense, King's Hawaiian Rolls, whatever that brand is called. The orange one that you always see in the bread aisle at the grocery store. So hopefully they can fill some of that gap, but that is potentially a very huge loss to lose Kohler Generators, such a major partner last season. Speaking of Adam Stern, who reported on the Chase Elliott A-Shock deal, he also tweeted that F1, the Ferrari F1 team, is facing a $55 million hole after loss of sponsors. That's according to Racing News 365. I know the budgets in Formula One are astronomical even compared to the NASCAR Cup Series, but $55 million! Whew. I guess things could be worse on the NASCAR side. Wow. Anyway, that's the latest news. Share your thoughts down below. Do you think Chase Elliott will get a new drink sponsor? Do you think it'll be another soda brand? Do you think it'll be another energy drink? Could it be Starbucks? Imagine a Starbucks car. That doesn't seem like the kind of thing Starbucks would do, but share your thoughts down in the comment section below. That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It's the new year. We're getting moved in, getting settled. Some great things are soon to come on this channel. As always, a big thank you to my Patreon supporters as well. Truly appreciate all you guys do to help grow this show. I'll be back again soon. Hopefully this room will be a little more established. Got a lot of work ahead. Also have some exciting announcements coming real soon. iRacing streams are coming back to this channel in the near future. Might have another partnership with Monday Night Racing on the horizon. Can't wait to share more of that with you guys. But that's gonna do it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next episode, y'all.